23 years ago this week, after centuries of white supremacist rule, black South Africans were able to vote for the first time in history. It was the culmination of decades of struggle. In 1994, The Economist reported that it was an event many South Africans had thought they would never live to see. All races alike went to the polls to bury apartheid for good. The first democratic vote marked the end of sanctioned racial oppression of apartheid. The world watched as South Africa heralded a new dawn of democracy and promise.
It's an incredible day for all of our people.
It was the excitement of Nelson Mandela as the iconic figurehead of the African National Congress, leading the ANC into that election as someone who could lead us away from this very brutal, racist past to somewhere where we could all look each other in the eye as equal South Africans.
Lawson Naidoo was an activist in exile for the African National Congress Party. The Party of Black Liberation was banned until 1990.
I returned to South Africa in 1992 and began political work once again within ANC structures. It was an incredibly emotional moment. Here I was, at the age of 31 now, voting for the ANC, as I had been striving to do for so many years. The whole country was abuzz. It was a magnificent time in South Africa.
How does it feel?
The Economist reported that the result has never been in doubt. An outright majority victory for the ANC, to be followed by the election of Mr. Mandela as South Africa's first black president.
I was confident that my efforts to bring peace and democracy would finally bear fruit. Today, we are almost there.
The ANC's victory immediately paved the way for a new constitution, written for a new South Africa. l.Meddour was one of the experts who helped draft it.
Those were not arbitrary promises by former President Nelson Mandela. Those were promises that were captured in the Constitution. We would be governed properly. We were finally going to be able to create a South Africa for all of us. The Constitution was going to take us to the promised land.
Yet after more than 2 decades in charge, corruption undermines the democracy the ANC fought so hard to establish. The tone is set at the top. The president, Jacob Zuma, may soon face over 700 charges of fraud.
In 1994, the people hoped that the government will be transparent and that there would be no corruption. In 2017, corruption has become endemic.
In her role as public protector, Madonsela held the government to account for the last 7 years. Her report into Zuma's use of public money on his private home led to death threats.
The swimming pool, an amphitheater, an extensive paving, all of those were luxuries that, should the president have wanted them, he should have installed those at his own expense.
The highest court found Zuma had violated the constitution by refusing to pay the money back.
Physically, about $500,000 was paid back, but it was borrowed from a bank funded by the state.
Earlier this year, Parliament descended into chaos, with opposition politicians denouncing Zuma because of corruption allegations.
This man has broken South Africa. You are breaking Parliament.
No. This constitution came about as a result of the ANC's work, and yet we find that leaders of the ANC are now disavowing that constitution.
Lawson Naidoo lost faith in the party he fought for. He now campaigns for government reform.
I think the ANC has lost its moral compass. What is most disturbing and concerning is looting state resources that should have been directed towards dealing with the needs of people. Where we had capacity to make change, we failed to do so.
South Africa now has one of the world's most unequal societies, with high unemployment and a faltering economy. The great hopes of the vote in 1994 have been tarnished, leaving many embittered. Without better leadership, this is unlikely to change.
We need to look at the kind of leaders that we replace them with, leaders that are going to be willing to be held accountable, who see the Constitution as a binding social contract between government and the people of South Africa.